Mr. Speaker, as we move around the traps, people are saying we're voting National. And why? Because of last week, what we heard from the Minister of Finance was a budget for the times. And this guy over here from down south, who keeps mouthing off about 50 years of that and 50 years of that, well, listen up. 50, the worst opposition in 50 years. Not like Helen Clark when she was in opposition. She had all the troops lined up. The worst opposition in 50 years. And how do we know that? How do we know that? Because Mr. Cunliffe gets up on his feet last week, and first of all he rails against Bill English's budget. He rails against National's budget, and then says, without a blink of an eye, that the ideas came from David Parker. So how do you work that one out? That it's the worst budget in 50 years, but the ideas came from David Parker. I do not know how they work it out, Mr. Speaker. Free health care and free prescriptions for under 13-year-olds. That in itself, if there was nothing else in the budget, that in itself says to me and to the rest of the country that we are putting families first, Mr. Speaker. And that bleats on about the amount of money that we borrow. Well, somebody had to have some money during the... Oh, here we go. Oh, come on. Come on. The fact of the matter is that this country was nailed to the cross when we took over, Mr. Speaker. Nailed to the cross because of the global economy. Because of the global... Look, nobody argues about it. But here's the rub. If we had have done what they wanted, which was get rid of working for families, how much is that worth? How much is working for families worth? My goodness me, there would have been an uproar, and my cousin Darian Fenton knows it. My cousin Darian Fenton knows it, Mr. Speaker. So what did we do? Well, we kept the benefit. We didn't slash and burn. We didn't get rid of working for families. We paid for it. Oh, our mates on working for families, Mr. Speaker. Our mates on the benefit, Mr. Speaker. Oh, my goodness me. It's no wonder that the Labor Party are on 29%. And while I'm at it, let me take a pot shot at the organisers in Tāmaki Makaurau. First of all, they wanted Shane Todima, and then they thought, oh, well, we better leave that boy alone. So they said no to him. And then they let the nominations ride, and they wanted Julian Wilcox, who's a very, very good operator. But he came to his senses and said no. And the only other nominee for Tāmaki Makaurau was poor old Will Flavel from Rutherford High School, sir. And do you think that they gave it to him? Do you think they gave it to him? No. What they did, sir, or what they're thinking of doing, is extending the nomination time for...
Point of order, Sue Moroney.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the member may have run out of good things to say about his own budget, but this is, in fact, the budget debate, and I think the Speaker should stick to the topic.
No, look, order. This is quite wide-ranging. There's been... Order. And I'm listening very carefully to what the member is saying, and I will rule accordingly if it comes. The Honourable Taonga.
So they put up Will Flavel on Marae or Native Affairs the other night. And what happened? Poor old Will, he talks about housing and transport. Yeah, that's going to be really good for Māori. I tell you what this government has done for Māori. It's put in place some real standards in education. It said to Māori whānau out there that what we need to do is educate our people. And more Māori are now getting a better education than they ever did under Labor, Mr. Speaker. It is absolutely true. It is absolutely true. The the other day organised a protest, if you can call it a protest. 50 people turned up. 50 people out here. 50 people, for goodness sake. 30-odd thousand people in the public service. In my day, there would have been 100,000 people out there, Mr. Speaker. There would have been protests in the street. But the Labor Party tried to organise a little gathering, shall we say, of 50 signed up, paid up members of the PSA. And that's all they could get. That's diabolical. In the good old days when Darian was working the streets and organising the workers in Auckland, you could get thousands upon thousands of people at a protest, especially in budget week. But what did we get? 50 people from the Ministry of Environment who weren't doing anything that day. Mr. Speaker, this is a good budget. This is a budget that steadies the ship, and I'll tell you what, we are moving into surplus. We are moving into surplus. And in fact, tonight I saw something really, really interesting. I would have thought that with only 4 months to the election, all hands would be to the pump in the Labor Party, as they are with the National Party, as they are with most parties. I saw, well, let's talk about jumping ship, shall we? Because what I observed with my good colleague John Hayes not more than 10 minutes ago was the leader of the Labor Party going home. He was going home, it was 9:30. For goodness sake, Mr. Speaker, you would have thought that the leader of the Labor Party who wanted to be Prime Minister would be here burning the midnight oil while his colleagues...
Order. A member can't mention someone who's absent from the House. Honourable Tauhanawi.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. But you would have thought that the go would have been to be working hard for his Prime Ministership. He wants the job, Mr. Speaker. Anybody who wants the job should be working all hours of the night, not just going for a stroll home, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a good budget. This is a good budget because it got people, as AC/DC, their song, Back in Black. I'm sure some of the members over there know the words to that song. Darian knows the words to that song, Back in Black. And that's what this budget and this government promised so many years ago. So many years ago. We said, years ago, yeah, if you want to say 9 years, Madam Whip, from the Labor Party, that's not a problem. We'll accept that. Because I tell you what, it won't only be 9 years, add another 3 onto that. Add another 3 onto that, Mr. Speaker. And while people were getting up in 3 or 4 years' time, when Bill English delivers his 9th and 10th budgets, Mr. Speaker, none of these fellows will be here. None of them will be here. In fact, well, I was going to say none of them are here now, but I'm not allowed to say that. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget that gets at the heart of Kiwis. It is about food on the table. It is about shelter over the head. It is about making sure that decent, honest, hard-working, battling New Zealanders can send their kids to the doctor for free, under 13. That's what it's about. It's pretty simple, Mr. Speaker. That's what Kiwis want, is the ability to be able to bring their kids up and be able to send them to the doctors when a crisis arises in that whānau. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm overjoyed. In fact, I'm immensely happy. Immensely happy about this government, the way this government and where it's going. It is a budget for all New Zealanders. It is a budget for working class people. It is a budget for those that earn a bit more than the minimum wage. It is a budget to make sure that look, the fact of the matter is that people are coming home to work. People are coming home from Australia, from England, from South Africa, from all over the world, to be able to partake in a country that is going ahead. And they know it, and we know it.
Point of order?
A point of order, Jami-Lee Ross.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave for the House to adjourn at the conclusion of the next speech.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Darren Fenton.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and thank you very much to the former Speaker, Tau Henry, and I wish him well in his retirement.